Are you familiar with the Lord's Prayer? Many children memorize this prayer from a young age and learn to repeat it. But when Jesus presented this prayer, he didn't teach it primarily as a poem to be memorized or a ritual or liturgical formula to be repeated. He taught it as an example of the way in which we should approach God within our prayers. And while these words may be very familiar to our ears, they would have been quite revolutionary to those who first heard it. Jesus begins in this way in Matthew chapter 6 and verse 9. It says, "Pray then in this way, Our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be your name." What's interesting about this is that the Old Testament very rarely addresses God as Father. In fact, the first few verses of Matthew chapter 6 refer to God as Father more times than all 150 Psalms of the Old Testament do. And so Jesus is teaching us that as we approach God, we can approach him intimately as a father who desires to hear our voice. But also, he is our Father who is exalted in heaven. And so his name is to be hallowed, or literally treated as holy. And so while we approach God intimately as a loving Father, we also approach him with reverence. And our first request was that his name might receive the glory and honor and respect that it deserves.